anymore where the broker builds the business and installs the agents. I believe that there's going to have to be cooperative nature. You know, during this downturn, I did close offices. I had to close offices. I was looking at things that didn't work. So being typical, I am a very, very stubborn human being. You can ask any of my 6 children, my wife, or other people who know me. I'm extremely stubborn, and I don't like losing. I don't like closing things. I had this office in Piedmont, California, and Piedmont is a place where I'll only have, that's the only office that will ever be allowed. It's the upper end of a market. There is only one office there. All my competitors were calling me, asking me for the lease, you know, because we hadn't really fixed the place up for a long time. It had torn carpet and some other stuff. And I went forward and I sold the office to some top producers. I sold 49% of the office, and we did a transaction together, and they took the office over. Now, it gets very interesting after this because I didn't really go see the office for quite a while, by the way, being busy with other stuff. I finally went down and met everybody. They put $150,000, by the way, into fixing the office up. And I walked in, and here's the office. 6 dining room tables, exposed ceilings, media on the walls, an extraordinarily open environment. So I walk up to one of these top producers, and this group, by the way, brought in $15 million in listings in the first week that they owned the office. And I asked them, where are the private offices? And they said, oh, we wouldn't do that. It's too expensive. And I thought, that's interesting. So brokers have managed to lead in an interesting way. The other thing that's good news is that for years we have run, for close to 20 years, a leadership training group. And this leadership training group, the criteria for being in the group is 3 years or less in the business and production. Because you want to see people who've got new eyes looking at the business. You don't want the old eyes looking at the business. And every year what we do for them is we give them $250,000. Not really. We give them in pretend money, and they get to start an organization. We form teams up. They themselves form the office. They talk about the office. They present the office and get each other to vote on which is the best office. This is really interesting to me because I sat there. I only have another 40 minutes of presentation, so 10 minutes will really work. I sat there and watched this, and every team presented a small office with a cafe environment, highly social, highly media-driven, highly focused on being internet savvy, and delighted to be there. No private offices, all hoteled. So I'm going to tell you what the problem is in our business. It's people like me, boomers. Because the boomers cannot figure out how and where to put their Rolodex. That's a difficulty, because if you have a Rolodex and you have a piece of paper, you've got to keep it private. The new offices are going to be much more transparent and open. We will reduce leases. We have to. All that cost will go out. But the focus has to be then on media and cooperation. I think that many of our agents will now see themselves as their own media planners. They will use Kathy Harrington, who's in the audience, as my marketing director, as helping them to focus on media, learning how to use media, and will begin their own media plan. Volunteerism, which died, by the way, during a good bit of this business evolution, and especially during the upmarket, will return. But it'll be a different kind of volunteerism. It'll be supportive of running the office. Let's talk a minute about technology. The winners are companies and individuals have great operating systems, period, clunk. We're running an operating system in our company today, and I like anecdotal information. Statistics are great. Anecdotal information's better. We are running a technology that will end with us having an absolutely paperless environment. There will be no paper in the company. We had an incident where one of the clients called and said, I never saw this document. I never signed this document. Now, if you're a broker in the room, you'll recognize all the symptoms. I don't know what you're talking about. The OA, the administrative officer, went back and called the client back and said, not only have you seen the document, you signed it and you've printed it twice. This is the change in our business. Green is going to be very advantageous, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be very important. There's something called cloud computing. I always love these terminologies that happen in business. And I have simple definitions for cloud computing, which is you take the app and you run it. I'll take the income. Many of us are going to move out of developing, but we'll look for applications, small and large, that will help our companies. I see that we're going to move from context to content, and agents, as we speak, are on platforms. Now, this is the most technologically retarded industry probably on the planet. Most agents, managers, and brokers just hate technology. They'll hate it with a passion. So you can expect that the things are going to get better. They have to. We're approaching a time when we'll know our client, by the way. This is very important. If you think about media and marketing, we're now going to know our clients. This will be the first time ever that we've actually know who our clients are. There is a downside here, and I'm going to call it the stupidity of information. The normal lineup is wisdom, knowledge, content and context, and information. We flipped that on its head with the internet. Now it's information, content, knowledge, and I don't see any wisdom most of the time. We have data overload, clients with the ability to say more than a licensed agent can. And real estate as a self-help model gets real interesting after that. So we have some challenges ahead. We are going to build, and we will build, valued networks of people. And if you haven't read the book, What Would Google Do? I really encourage you to read that. Media measurement is going to be specific, it's going to be critical, and it's the most important thing that we're going to do. Just as Gino talks about measuring the agents, we have to measure our spends. We have to measure what we're doing. We've never done that. And by the way, we got exactly what we deserved, thank you, with the newspapers. This is what we were. We were all things to all people. I challenge you to go to your local newspaper and open up to a real estate want ad. There's a $4 million house, followed by a business, followed by a mobile home, followed by whatever. We would sell anything to anybody at any time. Thank you. And it depended on which agent was pressing us to put that ad in. It had no coherency. It had no definition. And by the way, we had no idea what the result was. None. As a matter of fact, in the last downturn, we discovered houses that we had paid more in advertising than what there was commission. I don't think that'll ever happen again. I love this industry. I love the people who work in it. I really enjoy it. I'm going to give you some conclusions because I'm going to be very positive about the future. I believe we're in a recovery state. I think that recovery is going to be very positive, and the people who operate systems, the people who are clearly focused on their business, are going to do very, very well. Brokers need to focus on the long nickel, not the short dime. Understanding that's going to be very important for them, because so often the brokers have focused on the short dime and spent money that was just thrown at the wall. Networks will be very important. I'm not saying brands, I'm saying networks. Because if you have a brand, and I see Sherry here, a brand is only relevant if it's a network that functions. If the network doesn't function, then it's just a brand. And I think that that's going to be a very important definition. The marketing director, Kathy, will morph from a marketing director to a media planner. She or he will be a critical component in the development of the business as it continues to evolve.